The rain pattered against the windows of the small cafe where Tom Cruise sat, nursing a cup of tea. He was in New York for a week of press interviews, and this was his first moment of quiet in days. Outside, the city rushed by in a blur of umbrellas and taxi lights, everyone hurrying to escape the spring downpour. As he gazed out the window, something caught his eye. In the alleyway across the street, partially sheltered by a tattered awning, was a young girl. She couldn't have been more than 15, huddled against the brick wall with only a thin jacket for protection. What struck Tom most wasn't her obvious homelessness, but the fact that she was sketching intently in a worn notebook, seemingly oblivious to the world around her. Without thinking, Tom paid his bill, grabbed his umbrella, and stepped out into the rain. He crossed the street, careful to approach in a way that wouldn't startle her. "Hey there," he said gently, extending his umbrella to shield her from the rain. "That's some serious concentration you've got." The girl looked up, startled. Recognition flickered across her face, but it was quickly replaced by suspicion, a look Tom had seen before in those who had learned not to trust easily. "I'm Tom," he said simply. "I know who you are," she replied, closing her sketchbook protectively. "Are you lost or something? Because I'm not doing autographs right now." Tom couldn't help but smile at her bluntness. "No autographs necessary. I noticed you drawing and thought you might want this." He gestured to the umbrella. "You're getting soaked." "I'm fine," she insisted, even as a raindrop slid down her cheek. Her fingers, Tom noticed, were slightly blue from the cold, yet they gripped her pencil with determined precision. "At least let me buy you a hot chocolate or something," Tom offered. "That cafe across the street makes a decent one. No strings attached, you can take it to go if you want." She studied him for a long moment, weighing her options with a maturity that seemed beyond her years. Finally, she nodded, gathering her few belongings, the sketchbook, a small backpack, and what looked like a plastic bag containing clothes, and followed him at a careful distance. Inside the warmth of the cafe, the girl, who eventually introduced herself as Maya, sat rigidly in her chair, as if expecting to be asked to leave at any moment. When the waitress recognized Tom and became flustered, Maya tensed even more, clearly uncomfortable with the attention. "Just a couple of hot chocolates, please," Tom said casually, expertly deflecting the waitress's excitement with practiced ease. "And maybe some of those chocolate croissants if they're fresh." When the waitress left, Maya spoke. "You didn't have to do that." "Do what?" "Act like this is normal. Like you sit with random homeless kids every day." Tom shrugged. "Maybe I should. I'd probably hear more interesting stories than I do at press junkets." A hint of a smile flickered across Maya's face before disappearing. "I'm not a charity case." "Never thought you were," Tom replied. "I'm just a guy who likes hot chocolate and was curious about your drawings. If you don't want to show me, that's cool too." The hot chocolates arrived, piled high with whipped cream and chocolate shavings. Maya stared at hers for a moment before cautiously taking a sip, leaving a small dot of whipped cream on her nose that she quickly wiped away. "So," Tom said after they'd both had a moment to warm up, "you're an artist?" Maya hesitated, then nodded. "I try to be." "Can I see?" "Only if you want to share, of course." After another moment of deliberation, Maya slowly opened her sketchbook. Tom's eyes widened in genuine surprise. The pages contained detailed character designs and scenes, some recognizable as reinterpretations of famous superheroes, others entirely original creations. The skill level was remarkable, especially for someone so young. "Maya, these are incredible," Tom said, carefully turning the pages. "This one," he pointed to a reimagined version of Spider-Man perched on a Gothic cathedral gargoyle, "it's like you captured exactly how it feels up there. The vertigo, the freedom of it." "How would you know how it feels?" Maya asked, but there was less edge to her voice now. Tom smiled. Well, I've been in the harness enough times to have some idea. But this, he gestured to the drawing, this goes beyond the physical sensation. You've captured something emotional about it. Maya's posture relaxed slightly. I watch a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. About how they film the stunts and everything. I try to imagine what it would feel like. You've got an amazing eye, Tom said. How long have you been drawing? Always, I guess. But seriously, for about 4 years. She took another sip of hot chocolate. My art teacher in middle school said I had potential. Gave me my first real sketchbook before. She trailed off, and Tom didn't press. Instead, he asked about her techniques, her favorite artists, her inspirations. As they talked, Maya's initial wariness gradually gave way to enthusiasm. She spoke about color theory and perspective with the passion of someone who had found their calling, despite having limited formal training. So how did you end up? Tom gestured vaguely, not wanting to say the word homeless directly. Maya's expression clouded. The usual story. Foster system until I aged out at 18. No family to go back to. She shrugged with practiced indifference. Been on my own for about 6 months now. That's rough, Tom said quietly. Where do you stay? Shelters when I can get in. They fill up fast though. Other times. She gestured toward the alley where he'd found her. I move around. Safer that way. And you still find time to draw. It's the one thing that makes sense, Maya said, a fierce determination in her eyes. I still go to the library most days. They have free Wi-Fi, so I can study tutorials online. And I don't look homeless enough yet for them to kick me out. She gave a small, bitter laugh. Small victories, right? Tom nodded, a plan already forming in his mind. But he knew better than to lead with charity. Are you hungry? Because I'm starving, and there's a deli around the corner that makes incredible sandwiches. Maya looked at him suspiciously again. Why are you doing this? Honestly? Because I'm intrigued by your art and your story. And because I have resources that might help, but I want to get to know you better first to figure out what would actually be useful versus what would just be. I don't know, performative. Maya studied him for a long moment. You're not what I expected. Good or bad? Jury's still out, she said, but her lips quirked into a small smile. But I could eat. Over pastrami sandwiches at a nearby deli, where Tom was relieved to find no one recognized him, Maya gradually opened up more. She'd been bounced between foster homes since she was 9, after her mother died of an overdose and no other family stepped forward. Some placements were decent, others weren't. Art had been her constant companion and escape. I wanted to apply to art schools, she explained, but without a permanent address or regular access to a computer. She shrugged. Dreams are free, right? Tom listened, asking thoughtful questions but never pushing when Maya grew quiet or changed the subject. He learned she was incredibly knowledgeable about film, particularly the technical aspects of production design and visual effects. She spent hours at the library not just drawing but studying how movies were made. I've got an idea, Tom said when they'd finished eating. I'm working on developing a new project, and we need concept artists. It's just getting started, so it's nothing big yet, but it's paid work. Would you be interested? Maya's eyes narrowed. Is this real, or are you just feeling sorry for me? The job is real, Tom assured her. The feeling sorry part, that's not what this is about. I recognize talent when I see it. The rest is just logistics we can figure out. What kind of logistics? Maya asked carefully. Well, you'd need a reliable phone, for starters. A computer eventually, someplace stable to work. Tom hesitated, then decided on honesty. Look, I'm not going to pretend I understand what you're going through. But I do know that talent like yours shouldn't be wasted because of circumstances. So if you're willing to trust me a little, I'd like to help connect you with some resources that could make this possible." Maya was quiet for a long time. "Why would you do that for a stranger?" Tom thought about it. "Because someone did it for me once. Not in the same way, I wasn't facing the challenges you are. But someone saw potential in me and took a chance. That's how this industry works, really. Talent matters, but so does opportunity. I can't fix everything, but I can maybe help create an opportunity." "And what do you get out of it?" Maya asked bluntly. "Good concept art for my project," Tom replied with equal directness. "And the satisfaction of not being a complete jerk who ignores someone in need when I have the ability to help." Maya almost smiled. "Low bar. I try to clear it occasionally." After lunch, Tom took Maya to a youth outreach center he'd worked with before, a place that specialized in helping homeless young adults find housing and employment. He'd called ahead, speaking to a case manager he knew named Elena. "This is actually perfect timing," Elena told them both. "We just had an opening in our transitional housing program. It's a small studio apartment in a supervised building. Not glamorous, but it's safe, clean, and it's yours for up to 2 years while you get on your feet." Maya looked stunned. "Just like that? There's usually a waiting list months long." "Sometimes the timing works out," Elena said, though she gave Tom a look that suggested his celebrity influence might have helped expedite things. "The program includes case management, employment assistance, and some basic necessities to get started. I can help with some of the other things you'll need," Tom added. "Computer, art supplies, that sort of thing. Consider it an advance on your first project." Maya's face showed a complex mixture of emotions: hope, suspicion, relief, and pride, all battling for dominance. "I don't want to be a charity case," she said again, but her voice wavered slightly. "It's not charity," Tom insisted. "It's investment. In your talent, in your future. And in return, you'll work hard and eventually pay it forward when you can. Deal?" After a moment of hesitation, Maya nodded. "Deal." The next few days were a whirlwind. Tom helped Maya get settled in her new apartment, a small but clean studio with basic furnishings. He arranged for a laptop, digital drawing tablet, and software she would need for professional work. Elena helped Maya obtain ID documents she'd lost while homeless and set up a bank account. Throughout it all, Maya oscillated between gratitude and a fierce determination to prove herself worthy of the chance she'd been given. "I'm going to pay you back," she told Tom more than once. "Every cent. Focus on the work first," Tom advised. "The rest will follow." Before returning to London, Tom made good on his promise about the concept art job. He connected Maya with the production designer on an indie film he was producing, a science fiction story that needed fresh visual concepts. "She's new but incredibly talented," Tom told the designer over video call, with Maya sitting nervously beside him. "Just look at her portfolio." The designer, a veteran named Marcus, reviewed Maya's work with a critical eye. "These are impressive, especially considering your limited formal training," he said finally. "We can start you with some background elements, see how you do, and go from there. It's not big budget work, but it's a foot in the door." "That's all I need," Maya said, her voice steady despite her obvious nerves. As Tom prepared to leave New York, he made sure Maya had his contact information and introduced her to a few other artists in the city who could serve as mentors. "I'll check in regularly," he promised. "And if you need anything at all, you call me." Maya nodded, standing a little straighter than she had when they'd first met. "Thank you," she said simply. "I won't waste this chance." "I know you won't," Tom replied. And he meant it. The weeks that followed were challenging for Maya. Adjusting to stable housing after months on the street came with unexpected emotional hurdles. The quiet of having her own space sometimes felt oppressive after the constant noise of shelters and streets. The security sometimes felt temporary, like it could be snatched away at any moment. But she threw herself into her work with singular focus. The first assignments from Marcus were indeed basic: background elements for scene concepts, texture studies, minor character sketches. Maya completed each with meticulous attention to detail, often redoing pieces multiple times until she felt they were perfect. Tom kept his promise to check in, texting regularly and video calling once a week to see her progress. Sometimes he offered technical advice or industry insights, but more often he simply provided encouragement and a reminder that someone believed in her. "The production team loves your work," he told her during one call, about a month after he'd left New York. "Marcus specifically mentioned your attention to detail on those mechanical elements." Maya couldn't hide her smile. "Really? I was worried they were too elaborate." "That elaboration is what makes them unique," Tom assured her. "Keep pushing in that direction." Gradually, Maya's assignments grew more significant. By the 3-month mark, she was designing key set elements and contributing concept art for some of the film's more visually complex scenes. Her unique style, a blend of hyper-realistic textures with almost surreal proportions, began to influence the overall visual language of the project. What Tom hadn't expected was how much Maya's perspective would influence his own work. During their regular conversations, her observations about character motivation and visual storytelling offered insights that he found himself incorporating into his acting. Her life experiences, so different from his own, provided a lens through which to view his characters more fully. "You know what would make that scene work better?" Maya suggested during one of their calls, after Tom had described a challenging sequence he was rehearsing. "If you think about it not as fear of the threat, but fear of failing the people counting on you. That's the real terror, letting down the ones who believe in you." Tom paused, considering. "That's actually brilliant. How did you get so insightful about character motivation?" Maya shrugged. "When you grow up watching everyone leave, you get pretty good at understanding what drives people." 6 months after their chance meeting, Maya had saved enough from her work to begin taking online courses in digital illustration and production design. Her housing remained stable, and she had begun to build a small but impressive professional portfolio beyond the initial project with Tom. "I've got news," Tom told her during one of their video calls. "There's a small gallery exhibition happening next month featuring emerging artists. I might have mentioned your work to the curator." Maya's eyes widened. "Tom, you didn't." "I did," he admitted with a grin. "But I only got you the introduction. Your work did the rest. They want to feature your series on everyday heroes in the exhibition." The series had been Maya's personal project, illustrations depicting moments of ordinary courage and resilience she'd witnessed while homeless. A shelter volunteer working double shifts. A librarian quietly allowing a homeless teen to stay past closing time during a snowstorm. A street musician sharing food with newcomers to the neighborhood. The pieces were powerful in their honest portrayal of humanity in difficult circumstances. "I never expected anyone would want to see those," Maya said quietly. "They're so personal." "That's exactly why they resonate," Tom replied. "And why the curator was blown away. So, what do you say? Ready for your gallery debut?" Maya took a deep breath. "I think I am." The opening night of the exhibition marked a turning point. Maya's work hung alongside other emerging artists, but her series drew particular attention for its emotional depth and technical skill. Dressed in a simple black dress purchased for the occasion, with Elena's help, Maya found herself explaining her artistic process to interested gallery patrons, including several industry professionals. Tom attended without fanfare, slipping in quietly to support Maya without drawing attention away from her achievement. As they stood together in front of her centerpiece illustration, a powerful image of a young girl sketching amid chaos, her art creating a bubble of calm around her, Tom realized that what had begun as a simple act of kindness had transformed into something much more significant for both of them. "You know," Maya said, as they observed the crowd admiring her work, "when you first approached me that day, I thought you were just another celebrity doing a good deed for the cameras." Tom laughed. "There weren't any cameras." "Exactly," Maya smiled. "That's when I knew it was real." That night marked not the end of their story, but rather the beginning of its next chapter. Maya received 2 commissions from the exhibition and an invitation to apply for a scholarship program specifically for artists from disadvantaged backgrounds. More importantly, she gained confidence in the value of her unique perspective and voice. The story of Tom and Maya didn't end with a dramatic Hollywood resolution. There was no instant fame or fortune, no magical solution to all of life's challenges. Instead, it continued as a genuine friendship between 2 artists from different worlds who found common ground in their shared passion for storytelling. Maya still struggled sometimes. Art careers aren't built overnight, and the legacy of years of instability doesn't disappear with one lucky break. There were days when the trauma of her past resurfaced, when imposter syndrome threatened to overwhelm her, when the path forward seemed impossibly steep. But she no longer faced those challenges alone. Tom introduced Maya to therapy resources specifically for young adults with trauma histories. "Even superheroes need backup sometimes," he told her when she initially resisted. "It's not weakness to get help, it's strategy." Gradually, Maya built not just a career but a life. She developed friendships with other artists, began mentoring younger kids at the youth center where she'd once received help, and eventually moved into her own apartment, this time signing the lease herself, with her own earned income. As for Tom, he became more intentional about using his platform to highlight organizations supporting homeless youth and advocating for arts education accessibility. Working with Maya had opened his eyes to the enormous waste of potential happening on streets around the world. He established a small foundation focused specifically on connecting talented young people facing homelessness with opportunities in creative industries. "It's not about charity," he explained in interviews. "It's about removing arbitrary barriers to entry for people who already have the talent and drive. They don't need us to give them ability, they need access to the rooms where that ability can be recognized and developed." What neither of them knew was that their story would eventually inspire others. Not because it was a tale of celebrity charity, but because it demonstrated how authentic connection and opportunity, rather than just financial assistance, can truly change lives. A year after they met, Maya's concept art for Tom's indie film project received critical acclaim when the movie premiered at a film festival. During interviews, when asked about the distinctive visual elements of the film, Tom made sure to credit Maya. "Sometimes the most extraordinary talent is found in the most unexpected places," he told reporters. "We just need to pay attention." The film's success led to more opportunities for both of them. Maya was hired as a junior concept artist for a major studio production, while Tom found himself drawn to more visually innovative projects where he could continue to collaborate with emerging artists. They still met regularly when their schedules aligned, sometimes in upscale restaurants, but more often in small cafes reminiscent of where they'd first shared hot chocolate. They talked about art and film, dreams and setbacks, the peculiar challenges of their respective worlds. "Do you ever regret it?" Maya asked during one such meeting, nearly 2 years after that rainy day. "Taking a chance on some random homeless kid?" Tom considered the question seriously. "Not for a second. Though I do occasionally regret introducing you to Marcus. He keeps stealing you for projects I want you on." Maya laughed. "That's business, Cruz. Nothing personal." Their friendship continued to evolve as Maya's career flourished. She began to repay Tom's initial investment in her, not because he asked for it, but because it mattered to her to close that chapter as an equal. When she finally handed him a check representing the last of what she considered her debt, Tom accepted it with understanding of what the gesture meant to her. Then he donated the entire amount to the youth center that had helped Maya find housing, in her name. "You didn't have to do that," she told him when she found out. "I know," he replied. "But now some other kid gets their chance too. Seems fitting." In a world where celebrity charity often makes headlines for a day before fading from memory, Tom and Maya created something different, a genuine collaboration that enriched both their lives and created ripples of opportunity for others. It wasn't a story about a famous actor saving someone with a grand gesture. It was about two people recognizing humanity and potential in each other, and taking one small step that led to many more. And perhaps that's the most heroic story of all. Epilogue, 5 years later. The premiere was packed, the red carpet lined with photographers and journalists eager to capture every moment of the superhero film's debut. This wasn't just any addition to the franchise, it was special for many reasons, not least because it featured groundbreaking visual elements that had already generated buzz in the industry. Tom Cruise moved through the crowd with practiced ease, stopping for interviews and photos. But he was waiting for one particular arrival. When Maya stepped onto the red carpet, no longer a homeless teenager but now the lead concept artist for the film, the cameras flashed with renewed intensity. Her journey from sketching in a rainy alleyway to becoming one of Hollywood's most innovative visual designers was the kind of story the media loved. But what the cameras didn't capture was the quiet exchange between them when they finally met amidst the chaos. "Nervous?" Tom asked, straightening his tie. Maya smoothed the fabric of her gown, a custom piece inspired by her own artwork. "Terrified." "You?" "Always," he admitted with a smile. "But it helps having friends around." They posed for photos together, Tom insisting that Maya receive recognition for her contributions to the film's distinctive visual style. When interviewed, he spoke about their collaboration with genuine enthusiasm. "Maya brings something to the table that's completely unique," he told a reporter who asked about the film's striking aesthetic. "She sees possibilities the rest of us miss." "How does it feel to see your vision come to life on this scale?" another reporter asked Maya directly. Maya smiled, glancing over at Tom who stood nearby. "It feels like validation of something I always believed, that art can build bridges between worlds that seem impossibly far apart." The film itself was a triumph, a perfect marriage of performance, visual innovation, and storytelling. In one particularly breathtaking sequence, the hero traversed a landscape that transformed with each step, physical reality bending to reflect his emotional journey. The scene had been born from one of Maya's early concept sketches, refined through months of collaboration with the visual effects team. Later, as they sat side by side watching the film with an audience for the first time, Tom leaned over during that sequence. "Still think I was just feeling sorry for you," he whispered. Maya shook her head, eyes fixed on the screen where her concepts had been transformed into reality. "No. I think you just recognized part of yourself in a stranger." After the premiere, at the celebration dinner, Maya found herself seated next to the studio head who had initially been skeptical about hiring someone with such an unconventional background. "I have to admit, I had my doubts," he told her candidly. "But Tom was insistent that we'd be fools to pass on your vision." He was right. "He has a habit of that," Maya replied with a smile. Later that night, after the formal celebrations had ended, a smaller group gathered at Tom's hotel suite, close friends and key collaborators discussing future projects and possibilities. Maya, now comfortable in these professional settings in a way that would have once seemed impossible, found herself engaged in an animated discussion about an experimental short film idea. Tom watched from across the room, remembering the suspicious girl from the alley who had been so reluctant to accept even an umbrella from a stranger. The transformation wasn't just in her circumstances but in her sense of belonging, of knowing her voice and vision had value. When the gathering eventually wound down and only a few people remained, Tom and Maya ended up on the balcony, looking out over the city lights. "I've been thinking about starting a program," Maya said after a comfortable silence. "At the youth center. Art workshops for homeless teens." She glanced at him. I thought you might want to be involved. I'd be honored, Tom said sincerely. Though I can't draw to save my life. No, but you can talk about the business side. How to turn talent into a career. The practical stuff I had to learn the hard way. She leaned against the railing. There are so many kids out there with amazing potential. They just need someone to see it. Tom nodded. Count me in. In that moment, as the city hummed below them and stars struggled to be seen through the urban glow, both of them understood that the most powerful stories aren't about heroes with supernatural abilities, they're about the extraordinary potential of ordinary human connection. Some heroes wear capes on screen. Others extend umbrellas in the rain. The real magic happens when we recognize that both kinds of heroism matter. Thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoy this video and learned a lesson. I would be grateful for your likes. Also don't forget to subscribe and comment on the video. See you soon.